Serial killer or just murderer? What's the difference? Because serial killers, I feel like they find specific people, and it should not have to describe this stuff like this. They find specific people, and then, by the way, serial killer is just three people, but they find specific people and they go after them. People who just murder, they murder for no reason. I don't know if that makes sense, y'all. But we are talking about a possible New England serial killer. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Oh my god, y'all, I swear this week has been something else. Like this week, last week, really, I'm so tired. I'm tired, but in a good way. My feet are getting used to working, because my feet, when I started working, was just hurting like crazy. And now it's like they're not hurting that bad. I'm getting the work feet, y'all, and the work hands, because I got cut at work the other day. I'm like, oh my god, what is going on? I got 2 cuts. Anyways, y'all, is there a killer in New England? I don't know, but I'm going to listen to Jesse Weber talk about it, because they said that there has been body parts popping up all over New England. Now, if that ain't a freaking serial killer, I don't know what is, unless they just got people killing and dumping bodies, like cutting up bodies and just dumping them. Also, how disgusting is that you really have people just discarding of humans like they're nothing. These are human beings. Like, why would you do that? But I am curious, and I went to the comments, and some people are saying the same thing. They was like, why do the police keep telling us not to panic? If people don't panic, what is that going to do? It's like their guard is going to be down. To be honest, you want people to panic, because you want them to be like take their safety seriously. Back then, y'all, the 70s and 80s and 90s, those serial killers, like that era was absolutely wild. When they started putting up like in the news that they were killers, like people had to literally be on alert. Like you can't, like you have to be so careful. And that's what they need to be now. It's like people guards are down, and really, it's just hard to tell who is who because everybody's killing. That's basically what it is. So let's get into it.
To the family of Suzanne Wormser, who was a victim of this heinous incident and did not deserve to lose her life at the hands of the suspect.
As panic over a possible New England serial killer hits a fever pitch, police in Groton, Connecticut say they've solved one case that's far more personal than any social media rumor. But does this finally shut down the online hysteria? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to sit down with a Rhode Island police sergeant who's been wrapped up in all of this, actually investigated one key piece of this puzzle, and we are going to try to make sense of everything that is going on. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Now, I said we were going to follow this story, and we certainly are, because what happened? We covered it last time. There's been some updates. For weeks, the discovery of human remains across New England has sparked panic online. At least 8 bodies. That number's interesting. We'll talk about it. But at least 8 bodies, maybe 7, have been found scattered across Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Some Facebook groups are even speculating about a serial killer on the loose. But in Groton, Connecticut, police were quietly piecing together what they say is a far more personal tragedy. The brutal murder of 58-year-old Suzanne Wormser, allegedly at the hands of a man she once lived with. On April 25th, police announced the arrest of 68-year-old Donald Koffel, charging him with Wormser's murder, tampering with evidence, improper disposal of a body. And those gruesome details that were outlined in an arrest warrant obtained by Law and Crime, they reveal an alleged calculated and horrifying crime. And we're going to get into those details a little bit later, but with one suspect in custody, the bigger question now lingers. Does this officially shut down the rampant speculation about a New England serial killer? Does that put to rest all of these rumors? Maybe, maybe not. Groton police insist their case is closed. Wormser's death was a targeted crime, they say, not the work of a shadowy predator. Yet multiple other bodies have turned up across the region since March, with each discovery fueling social media questions, true crime speculation, panic theories about a killer or killers. And despite the online speculation, law enforcement agencies across New England, they're adamant there is no evidence connecting these cases. And that's according to reporters for Rolling Stone magazine who contacted departments in all affected jurisdictions.
Okay, y'all, I had to hurry and look this up because I was like, why did New England, where is that? Okay, Boston, that's what we're talking about, Massachusetts. I'm over here thinking about the UK. I'm happy that, okay, thank you.
It's receiving consistent denials of any connection between the deaths, except for the Rhode Island State Police. which it appears didn't respond to the request for comment. Norwalk Chief of Police James Walsh told the Rolling Stone, "There is no evidence to support the fact that any death investigation of Norwalk is related to a serial killer." In New Haven, Connecticut, where 60-year-old Denise Leary's remains were found in some brush behind a home, police emphasized that there were no signs of foul play, saying there's no indication that the woman's remains found in New Haven are the result of a homicide. Denise Leary was suffering from some mental health diagnosis, and her remains were found near where she lived. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner performed an autopsy and was unable to establish an exact cause of death. The Town of Groton Police Chief Louis Uzzaro directly addressed the social media frenzy, saying there's multiple agencies investigating different parts of this. "What I can tell you is there's been multiple incidents, including some that we've investigated involving missing people, that folks on social media seem to perceive as a serial killer. I can tell you we don't have any evidence of that." Regarding the Wormser case specifically,
police are so freaking useless sometimes with detectives. I'm talking about they only say this stuff because they don't want stuff to get out. Also, I always said this, the best, and the biggest detectives are the people. They actually look, they're not stupid. Like, people know what's going on. Also, if they live in that area and they're constantly hearing that there's bodies, and if it's like the same MO, people are not slow. Like, something is happening. Everybody just not dying left and right. Now, he said body parts earlier, so I'm curious about, like, where that's at. What body parts? What, is it just random people killing? Because if that's the case, that means y'all need to figure that out. I'm confused of, like, the whole... They never want to say that there's a serial killer. Why? Because there's serial killers every day, literally. Like I always say, serial killers, like, it's the number 3. 3 or more. There are serial killers literally every day. But maybe there's somebody picking off people. It could be. It still happens.
the City of Groton Chief David Burton had this to say.
So we have databases that the state agencies as well as ourselves participate in. Those databases did not result in any information coming back to us to say that anything was related. In addition, we monitor the same sources as everybody else does in the community. When individuals provide information from out of state, and we can contact those police departments, we reach out and talk to their investigators to find out if there's any link. We have no information that links our incident to anything else that took place within the state or outside in the surrounding area.
But the rumors of a serial killer truly reached a fever pitch when an anonymous post in a Facebook group originally named New England Serial Killer claimed that bodies were buried at Scarborough Beach in Narragansett, Rhode Island, sparking police efforts to search the area with cadaver dogs. That page, which has apparently since lost its name for an unknown reason, according to a post from the group's administrator, has garnered more than 67,000 members. And that is what brings me now to bring on our special guest, the sergeant himself who investigated these claims, Sergeant Brent Husman of the Narragansett Police. Thank you so much for coming on. Really good seeing you. Appreciate you taking the time and also the great work that you and your team do. So let's start here. What did Narragansett Police find and how did they come to begin this investigation?
So what we found was nothing. If you want the too long didn't read, that is what we got from where we searched. But now, let's backtrack to how we got the case. Over the Easter weekend on the 19th, we were contacted by multiple people via email, phone call, Facebook on its messenger. We were advised of some ominous posts in this New England Serial Killer Facebook group and their sister Facebook group. They were all anonymous, and they were definitely eerie, almost poetic-like. And they alluded to bodies being buried at the northern part of Scarborough Beach, which is known as Black Point. There are ruins of a carriage house from the Gilded Age there, known as the Windswept Ruins. And there are alleged to be 6 bodies buried vertically facing the water, and it was definitely ominous. It was worrisome for multiple people. Dozens contacted us over the weekend. So on Monday, when our unit came in, we hit the ground running. We contacted the administrator of the Facebook post. We received screenshots of every post, some of which were deleted at the time, but she already had screenshots. And we began to kind of piece it together, read it over, and see really what we were dealing with here. As you know, anonymous Facebook posts are never really anonymous. The group admin could see the name of who posted it, and it appeared to be more of a basic account with no personal information, what some refer to as a troll account or a burn.
We're not talking about that though. We are talking about the bodies that they have currently found. Okay, yes, and I'm talking about what Jesse and I'm saying. Okay, like the body parts. He said body parts, right? There are bodies being found in that area. And by the way, I found out it's not in Massachusetts. It's a region. Didn't even know that. But if you even go to the comments, you have people saying, if not, it's even more disturbing. There are so many killers in New England. They need to get over this, not wanting to panic people. We are literally finding bodies every few days. You cannot tell me there isn't a serial killer. Then they're more willing to say it's multiple killers. So they must got a lot of bodies. At least 8 bodies, maybe 7. I guess that's what they're saying. Too much.
Burner account. And in the comments section of some of these posts and other people's posts, he basically told them there's no crime explicitly stated. I'm being metaphorical, I'm a storyteller. He alluded to working on a novel, but the people in the group would not have known that because it was an anonymous original post. So Monday we hit the ground running. We did a quick search of the area that day. It is a large area with there being beach, trails, and woods. So we felt it would be best to get cadaver dogs to search the area as well. So we coordinated with the Rhode Island State Police for a Wednesday search of the area. I had my 3 detectives go down with their 2 dogs. They independently searched the area one by one. They came to the conclusion that there was no indication from either of the canines of any remains in the area. But so what we basically had was maybe a half cockeyed confession, but with no bodies. So we didn't believe it was credible information, but it was definitely worrisome, and there was a lot of community concern about this. To have potentially 6 bodies buried in town would be a shocking, horrifying discovery. So it's something we wanted to get out there and kind of make sure it wasn't anything. I'd rather do something and go over the board with the search than not do enough and it be something.
Well, I'll tell you, if it wasn't clear by now from a lot of the stories we cover, I think it's...
Herself is very vested and emotionally tied to this. She has a deep passion for it, and she was very helpful.
Okay, good. That's good to know. So let me ask you the general question now. What is your response to this ongoing public concern about a potential serial killer in New England? Because it just doesn't hit, Rhode Island, it hits other states. Do you see there could be something here? Do you see a pattern that would support any of these fears?
So first thing, this has definitely hit a fever pitch. Everyone that I know has basically asked me, is there a serial killer? Anyone that I have seen in the public, a lot of people are concerned. It has definitely hit a fever pitch, almost hysteria-like with a lot of people, especially locally. We are a tight-knit community here. As of right now, I have not worked any of the other cases. I have not seen the case files. Only as of recently, some of the cause of death and manner of death were released. So looking at what I have right now, I do not believe there is a serial killer. Unfortunately, addiction runs rampant with some of these bodies that you do find out in the wilderness, by the woods, trails, water. Homeless people do tend to live in these types of areas. And unfortunately, self-harm is still a large problem in our community. The other aspect of it, the arrest was made in Groton. Another thing with homicides, it's mostly people that you are known to you. It's domestic related, it's business partners, it's people that are acquaintances. So, and that's what it looks like in the Groton. It was an ex-roommate. But as of right now, without looking at each individual case file, I cannot say that there is a serial killer or any links between any of those other cases. But it's something we did explore for us, but that's where we're at right now with that.
Let me explain to our audience what we're talking about here. So I mentioned earlier that while Groton police were able to put a cap on that investigation, there are other jurisdictions that are still investigating what happened to these other people. We did a full breakdown in a previous episode of Sidebar, so I encourage everybody to check that out. But just to kind of give a quick recap, March began with 2 grim findings on the 6th. 35-year-old New Yorker Paige Fannon's body in Norwalk River, Connecticut, and an unidentified human skull discovered the same day. 13 days later, March 19th, Suzanne Wormser's remains were found in a suitcase near a Groton cemetery 80 miles east of Norwalk. Then the discoveries accelerated. March 20th, 59-year-old Denise Leary's remains were found in a wooded area behind a house in New Haven, Connecticut. March 26th, a 56-year-old woman was found in the woods of Foster, Rhode Island, 8 months after she went missing. But we're choosing not to name her because it's our understanding her family believes that that case is not connected to any kind of serial killer theory. April brought more questions. On April 9th, unidentified remains were found in Hillingly, Connecticut. April 10th, more unknown remains turned up in Framingham, Massachusetts. And most recently, on the 22nd, a woman was found dead near a Springfield, Massachusetts bike path. Police identified her as 45-year-old Megan Meredith, and police are investigating her death as a homicide, but Springfield Police's homicide unit called it an isolated incident. So, Sergeant, from a law enforcement perspective, if this one...
Okay, so that's what they're talking about, bodies. They have bodies up there, y'all. Oh my God. Like, you can't, with the police, like, you have to have some kind of inkling, but they wouldn't say that. You could easily say there's a possibility. You could even say small possibility. There's a possibility that there could be one. That's all I need to know, so I could be more careful, even though I will always be careful, just, because some people don't be knowing. But that's weird. So these people just randomly die, like just dying, as they say, mental health, killing themselves. But what about somebody being stuffed in the suitcase? Somebody killed that person. Like somebody, like remains been found. Somebody chopped up that person too. That's crazy. They got something going on up there. Ooh, I can't go up there. Oh my God. I can't. I don't even want to be here.
And there was at least a concern about a serial killer. What would you be expecting to see more of? What would be the pattern that you might, even though I know you haven't had a chance to look at these individual cases, but you're reading the reports, you're seeing the reporting on this, you're being asked questions about it. If there was a serial killer, what specific criteria would you be looking at? What kind of pattern would you be looking at to make this more of a legitimate theory?
I would be looking at the MO, what it is, the manner of which. When I speak of manner of death, that would be homicide, suicide, accidental, natural, or undetermined. So I would be looking at if they were a homicide. So I'd rule out the rest. I'd rule out self-harm, I'd rule out natural causes, and I'd rule out, and then I would stick with homicide at that point. We would then look at the cause of death. If it's the same type of weapon, same situation, same type of victim, such as someone that might possibly be a sex worker, or homeless, someone that might not know their attacker, their accuser. So we rule out things like domestic situations, ex-boyfriends, girlfriends, ex-spouses. Well, we would have to really rely on the medical examiner's office to provide us the forensic pathology, give us the manner of death, and then the cause of death.
But real quick, the forensic people getting on my nerves too, and I like forensics, because why does the medical examiner always say undetermined? Okay, they be knowing something too, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you may not know what killed them, but you can easily say, okay, it wasn't like they wasn't cut up or something. You can easily say that. I don't know why they don't put that in the news. Well, I think people want to know, like, at least rule stuff out and put it in the news, but they want to wait till it's all the way done, which I understand. But it's always undetermined. It's always they don't know. Like, okay, in that case, just say they probably took they probably took something and it could kill them, a heart attack or something. Were they stabbed? Were they cut? Anything. Like, I think that's what people want to know, so they understand. But that's the thing, that they try to hide everything and they don't never say it. Like, they don't give people no updates to nothing. They just always say undecided. And when they constantly saying undecided, I think that automatically gets into people's head. They're like, okay, something's not right. They're lying. Like, they're hiding something. There's definitely a serial killer. That's what they probably be thinking.
They were basically just bones. They didn't have anything. One was just, I believe, a partial skull, and that presents a lot of other issues when you don't have maybe an exact manner or cause of death. You just have a skull, and that is it. But once again, without looking at all those case files and reading the reports, it is hard to make a kind of a. It is hard to make a 100% yes or no what this is or what this isn't. But as we do know, serial killers are quite rare, and most homicides are conducted by someone that is known to you, whether it be domestic or some other form of arrangement.
And I'm just gonna stop it right there. And I agree to a little point at the end. Serial killers, they're rare, but only because I feel like nowadays we call everybody serial killers. That's only because after 3 people, that's what you are. Like, you kill 3 people, you're a serial killer. But that's what I told y'all earlier. That's what he's saying. It's like hard to pick them out because back then there were literally people picking out others because of the way they looked. It could be the voice. It could be the way they act. It's literally like the way they were picking people was so insane. Teenagers, college girls specifically. Like the MO back then was just so weird. I don't know why they was doing that. So I get that part. But 7 to 8 bodies, you got something going on up there, or y'all just have a lot of crime that y'all don't know how to solve. Like, I don't know. But it's not easy solving crimes. I do know that. That's crazy though, you guys. Oh my God. I didn't think, like, they literally got bodies up there in pieces. But he's trying to debunk a lot of stuff. I feel like he's talking about, well, there are bones right there and they didn't look like nothing happened to them. Okay, they could have been strangled, but you would not have known that because, you know, if it's just a skull right there, it's hard to tell. I don't know. I guess that's why it takes so long, y'all. But they got something going on up there. I know I'm not going up there, but there's people killing literally everywhere. I don't even want to be here. In Arkansas, there's so much stuff going on. Oh my God. So I just wanted to see what this was, and I watched half of it, but they allegedly have a serial killer in New England. And now I know that it's also their own region. I have never heard of this place. I literally thought this was in the UK. I did not know this was here in America. So on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you people on the next video. Stay safe, stay aware, stay alert at all times. Because nowadays, more people are killing, and I don't want any of the people who watch my channel to be taken away. These people are crazy. Protect yourselves. Bye.